4 years ago, folks, this is what it looked like in the nation's capital, Washington, D.C., as the House and the Senate tried to certify a 2020 election led by Donald Trump, his supporters. What did they do? They actually stormed the U.S. Capitol, causing massive mayhem. More than 1,000 people have been prosecuted as a result. This is what it looked like 4 years ago. And America still allowed Donald Trump back in the Oval Office. It goes to show you exactly what kind of people they are. All day across social media, MAGA folks have been making excuses. And they've been touting the fact that the election results were certified today for Donald Trump. But that's a huge difference between how Republicans acted 4 years ago. And here's the fundamental problem that we have. This is our biggest problem. The folks who tried to overthrow the election, they are still in power. They now control the House. They now control the Senate. They now control the White House. So what you're dealing with are insurrectionists, white domestic terrorists. And in fact, Donald Trump has actually pledged to provide clemency, grant pardons to these individuals. Don't be surprised if he does it from the U.S. Capitol on January 20th, because that's the kind of person that he is. And so just as a reminder to you all, we know where we were 4 years ago. I was in Atlanta. It was the day after Raphael Warnock won the runoff to become the United States Senator. And I stood there in Atlanta watching television, watching the scene unfold. Now, remember somebody asking me, how did you feel? And I said, chicken's coming home to roost. She said to me, you know what? You really shouldn't say that. Guys, turn the audio up, because people need to remember what this was like. This was what it looked like at the U.S. Capitol 4 years ago. Now, MAGA, they've been trying to suggest, no, keep it full screen. MAGA's been trying to suggest that, oh, it was just a walk in the park. People were actually taking tours. No, you see them climbing through windows. They were gouging the eyes out of police officers. They were attacking them with flagpoles. These people were creating mayhem. They had their Trump flags, their Confederate flags. And yet Republicans who condemned this, who said that, oh, these actions, we should never see this again. And what happened? These folks are back in power. That's what you actually see right now. I'm going to bring in my panel right now to talk about this, because it's important for us to not overlook it. You got a lot of people across the country. They are talking about the certification today. I'm not solely focused on certification of the election, because we cannot forget what actually took place 4 years ago and who was behind it. Dr. Julianne Malveaux, economist, president emerita at Bennett College. She's the author of Surviving and Thriving, 365 Facts in Black Economic History. Also, Dr. Amakongo Dabinga, senior professor of lecture, School of International Service, American University. He's the author of Lies About Black People, How to Combat Racist Stereotypes and Why It Matters. Teresa Lundy, podcast host of the Business Corner out of Philadelphia. Glad to have all three of you here. I want to start with you, Julianne. When we talk about this day, when we talk about what happened, You got the folks on the right who are like, oh, you know what? Yeah, that thing shouldn't have happened. The folk, they were trying to overthrow the result of the election. They were pissed off. They were pissed off that black people and how they voted in Atlanta, Philadelphia, in Detroit, in Milwaukee, and they did not want to see Joe Biden certified to be president. And this is a stain on America, and we cannot forget it. And we can't forget that the people who voted not to certify the election, including the current House Speaker, Mike Johnson, now all of a sudden they go, oh, things were fine, things were fair only because they won.
Exactly. You know, I don't know who this congressman is. I wrote his name down, but I lost it. But he was talking about these were grandmothers. It's hilarious. Grandmothers who were taking a tour. And yeah, maybe one or two people got out of line. There was a mob out there. I saw Brother Dunn, the brother who he talks about his experience. There are 3 or 4 of them who talked about their experience, and they're livid that the orange man says he wants to pardon the people who tried to gouge their eyes out, who attacked them with sticks and all kinds of things. But, you know, this is revisionist history and why it's so important to have truth. As why it's so important. It's so important for them to deny truth. I mean, contextually, they want to erase that incident and make it, oh, these little old ladies were just walking through the Capitol and something happened. We all know that's not what happened. And we have to keep telling the story so that nobody ever thinks this was just a garden club coming to see the Capitol building. We all know that's not what it was, but they would like to erase that. So, you know, when I look at those pictures, Roland, and people have been running them on, you know, the media all day, and I'm glad they are, because if they don't, history will be rewritten. History belongs to she who holds the pen. And the fact is that they don't want us to hold pens. They don't even want us to have them. They want to just make it as if this was Biden's Justice Department going awry and indicting, 1,600 people? 1,600 people? That is not called a walk in the park. That is called mob violence. And I'm glad you used the term white extremists, white terrorist extremists, who basically, and underline the white, who basically do not want fairness, do not want democracy. But Kamala Harris, as always, she came through. She's a picture of what democracy is about. She was graceful. She didn't have any side comments. She ran the process, and that's what you're supposed to do, run the process. And it was a smooth, constitutionally dictated process that 4 years ago, the Trumpies and their friends refused to allow to happen.
Congo, it's important for us to call these people for who they are. They are white domestic terrorists. They are the people who did not want this to move forward. Donald Trump became the first occupant of the Oval Office to ever try to overthrow an election. We cannot forget that. No, I don't care what happened November 2024. They will go down. They will be remembered for this, and we must call them out for who they are every single time.
Look, the way you led this out with Insurrection Day and calling a thing, if we don't do that, then we are going to deserve what we get. The fact of the matter is, not only do we have to make sure we don't let this day be forgotten, we have to continue to bring it up, because just this past weekend, Trump is at Mar-a-Lago showing a John Eastman film, and he's a sore winner. He has to do everything possible to change the narrative about what happened that day and all of his denials of the election. They are not going to stop, right? When you look at Bush v. Gore, the Bush had a rough thing. No. They have to make sure they change the history books, they change the news networks, they change everything to make it look like it was, as he said, a day of love. This was the first time a Confederate flag flew in the Capitol. This was the first time that the United States did not have a peaceful transfer of power. We have people, Brian Sicknick, a Capitol police officer, who was a Trump supporter, who died, because of injuries, and then officers who killed themselves later. Look at what happened with Lieutenant Byrd, who shot Ashley Babbitt, and how his entire life has been destroyed. These people, in every way, shape, and form, are trying to make sure that what happened is not told. And they got their own networks to do it, the Foxes, the OANNs, and that's why we have to be here with the Black our network, because this was an attack and assault on our entire democracy. And if people paid attention to what you wrote about in your book, White Fear, then people could have seen these signs coming. But we have to make sure that what we're doing is always correcting the record, because this is a terrible day in American history. And at the end of the day, we have classless individuals who would have done this again had they lost. And we have to make sure that we're telling the proper story.
But Teresa, this is why I did not want to lead with today's certification, because it's real easy to try to normalize and say, well, here's what happened today. No. We cannot forget what these people did. And there are people like Senator Ron Johnson, who was trying to deliver fake electors to then Vice President Mike Pence. It was people like Utah Senator Mike Lee. It was Josh Hawley of Missouri. It was Chuck Grassley of Iowa. It was Ted Cruz of Texas. These despicable individuals, they were being helped. The Marjorie Taylor Greens, the Jim Jordans, the list goes on. The Scott Perry of Pennsylvania. It goes on and on and on. And the problem is, these people are still there. The people who tried to overthrow the election result are now the ones who are in charge. That cannot be overlooked.
That can't be overlooked, nor are the lives that were lost during the election. And I think, when you started it off, it was definitely a clear history of let's never forget, because we all know that they are now those who were prosecuted for the insurrection that took place is now, trying to get off. So now that's a whole nother bid. Mm-hmm. And I think, that's just very interesting as we, I think Democrats, and thank God for Vice President Kamala Harris with such grace and dignity and leadership. I think, as I was looking at some of the comments on X and Facebook groups, even MAGA folks, like not all of them, but a few were definitely, a little bit alarmed and dismayed about what was done to her. Because again, if there was a white male in that position, that would not have happened. They would have shook hands and probably played golf afterwards. But again,
well actually, hold tight. We're going to discuss that later. But okay. I want to talk about again this being the 4th anniversary of the insurrection. And we just simply can't just dismiss this reality. Here's a perfect example. This was a tweet that conservative commentator Eric Erickson, he posted this 4 years ago today. Watch this. This is what he said. Shoot the protesters, waive the rules, impeach, waive the rules, convict, waive the rules, deny the ability to run for election again. And you know what happened? Eric Erickson supported Donald Trump and the same Republicans in November. Mitch McConnell stood on the floor and decried what took place. He and Kevin McCarthy put it at the feet of Donald Trump. But none of that mattered, Teresa. And it goes to show you the kind of people they are. They have no morals, no values, no principles, no ethics at all.
No, you're absolutely right. And again, history will always repeat itself. I think Republicans are the main cause and effect when they always try to say, let's not think about the history. Let's not think about slavery. Let's not think about the 1619 project. Let's talk about the future. But, the future is literally 4 years ago, right? I think what Make America Great Again was literally, they talked about for the first 4 years was Donald Trump's position in office, and how yet people forgot, so many forgot when he was in office, how detriment it was to everyday working families, even though they tried to say that they were a party of working families. So it was very interesting. I think Democrats, definitely has seen a new strategy, right? But I think if we still keep it with integrity, if we still walk in leadership, if we still keep having conversations and spending funding where it should be, not just during election season or during the last 80 days or 100 days, but if we do it year round, I think when we start having the remember when conversations about the GOP and what Donald Trump and the MAGA team has done to American people and American families, I think the conversations will be different in every city, in every electoral district.
I don't know. I mean, Juliana, I think the problem is that Democrats want to play a game, a political reality that no longer exists. And again, and Republicans tried the same game. I mean, it was Mitch McConnell. They could have actually convicted Donald Trump 4 years ago. Had they convicted Donald Trump, he would not have been able to run again, and all of these court cases could have moved forward. But they assumed that the insurrection was so bad that, oh, his career is over. The American people won't tolerate this again. Well, they actually did. Here's Mitch McConnell again 4 years ago. I want everybody just to listen. These are his words on the floor of the United States Senate.
President Trump is practically and morally responsible for provoking the events of the day. President Trump is still liable for everything he did while he was in office as an ordinary citizen. Unless the statute of limitations is run, still liable for everything he did while he's in office. Didn't get away with anything yet. We have a criminal justice system in this country. We have civil litigation. And former presidents are not immune from being accountable by either one.
Yeah, that was Mitch McConnell. But again, what did they do, Julian? They were like, it's over. And what kept saying, it's over, it's over. No, it goes to show you that the American people are exactly who they are, and they accepted this thug. And let me be real clear, for the next 4 years, he is going to be referred to on this show as the convicted criminal in chief or the insurrectionist in chief, because he has earned those titles.
He absolutely has. I mean, when you look at these men who are guarding our Capitol, these were not people making multi-millions. These are folks who are making civil service money. They've lost their jobs. Some of them have lost limbs, or there's a suicide. There are a couple of other deaths that seem to be stress related. And he just sort of walks away, there's the walk in the park. People want to talk about the insurrectionists and the walk in the park. Trump has had a walk in the park. But here's the deal. This is about predatory capitalism and the consolidation of oligarchies. In other words, you see all these Fortune 500s, the Elon Musks, the Jeff Bezos. The cartoon that the Post refused to run is a great cartoon of all these oligarchs with their money bags going to pay homage to the Orange Man. Or as someone called him, the Mango Mafioso. Someone shared that one with me. I thought that was pretty good, actually, because I got in trouble for calling him the Orange Man somewhere. Whatever. But in any case, the fact is that they're looking at ways that he's going to consolidate power. They're looking at ways that he's going to increase profits for predatory capitalists. This tariff thing is going to cripple the middle class. Now, they say they're going to do it gradually, and then they say they're not. They don't know what they're doing, but they're doing it. And the fact is that we have very few tools to stop them. We have some, but we don't have a lot. And the reason that we don't have a lot is because Democrats are too nice, in my opinion. Or maybe it's not too nice. Maybe it's naive. I mean, I used to, back in the day when I first got involved in politics back in the 70s, I remember watching them getting on the floor and saying, "Oh, my esteemed colleague." And I'm thinking, what I would want to say is, "You dirty, rotten dog," or, you felon, or something like that. But they say, "Oh, my esteemed colleagues over there." And it puts this veneer of niceness on it. But there is nothing nice. There's literally nothing nice about what happened on January 6, 2021. Nothing nice about it at all. They tried to upend democracy. And I don't understand. No, I do understand. I don't understand why people voted for the felon anyway. But Jim Carville was on CNN Sunday morning, and he said, "Oh, it was really about the economy." No, it was about race. Let's be real clear. It was about race. The economy is better. It's not perfect, but it never will be. The economy is better. It was about race. And so here we are with these violent criminals that he's about to pardon. He says he's going to pardon some of them. And I hope that there's a backlash from his people, but you played Mitch McConnell. Thank you for doing that. Anybody who was on that floor was traumatized. But some people got over their trauma real quick when they decided where their bread was buttered.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Congo. When we look at that day, when we look at the heroic actions of a Eugene Goodman, and when you listen to these cowardly, and yes, I'm calling them cowards because that's who they are. You look at these cowardly Republicans who all of a sudden, they've forgotten all of that, but their asses were saved. They were saved by these cops. They were saved by these officers who put it online. Again, I remember there was a reporter who was shooting the video when Eugene Goodman stopped these people from turning down that hallway. They were that close to breaching the United States Senate. And here's a crazy thing. In 2023, here's a crazy thing. I need everybody listening to me to understand what I'm saying. In 2023, Congress passed a bill honoring the Capitol police officers, honoring them, and ordering a plaque to be placed in the Capitol. Republicans on Congo have yet to allow it to be installed. And in fact, today, Speaker Mike Johnson was asked about that, and he simply turned and walked away. These Republicans are shameful. They are cowards. They're despicable. They don't support law enforcement. They only care about cops when it involves Black people. They are protecting these fascists, these white domestic terrorists.
And I don't think anybody ran faster than Josh Hawley that day. I mean, the world saw this. And really, when it comes down to it, going to your last point about their lack of respect for the Capitol police officers, they don't respect law enforcement at all. They talk about where to defund the police people. How many times have they talked about defunding the FBI, the CIA, the ATF, all of these organizations? They don't care, like you said, until it suits them. And when it comes down to it, the fact that they cannot honor these Capitol police officers and the trauma that they endured and the trauma they continue to endure. And now they're going to possibly, you can be rest assured, Roland, that some of these guys who Trump are going to pardon are going to come back to the Capitol. They're not going to be banned. They're going to walk through that place. And
wait a minute, I'm Congo. One guy, wait a minute. One of these thugs literally petitioned the judge to allow him to attend the inauguration because he was invited there by several Republican members of Congress. They invited one of these thugs to attend the inauguration, and the judge was like, that ain't happening.
That's what's up. And I can guarantee those who may be out or may have avoided jail time, the whole convict choir, some of that going to play as well at this inauguration. Like, this is a criminal enterprise, and they're going to continue to do criminal things. And the fact of the matter is, it really bothers me that whatever laws in place, a speech and debate clause or whatever, that doesn't allow like House members or senators to be like prosecuted, because some of these guys were in on this. There was a guy who gave the tour the day before. Like, they were aiding and abetting these individuals. And they are not going to suffer any consequences. But we have to make sure that we have a long-term memory. We can't be forgetting these things. You're talking about this now. You're going to be talking about this next week. You're not going to let this be forgotten. But most people are going to be on to Jimmy Carter's, funeral tomorrow. They're going to be on to the inauguration the next day. They're going to be on to whatever's coming in February. We got, we got the midterms coming up, and we got to keep these things in mind. And who's also not going to forget? Trump is not going to forget. And he's going to do his best to make sure people don't forget, because he is obsessed with getting a proper narrative that's going to suit his ego. But if we continue to tell this story, we can help change the tide in 2026 when the midterms come up. And that's why I'm so happy with what you're doing tonight, Roland, because you're hitting it in a way that no other network that I've watched today has been doing.
Igor Bobik with Huffington Post actually was in the gallery that day. And there was an almost 3-minute video that he posted And this was the video was posted January 15th, 2021. So it was 9 days later. And it makes real clear the danger that Eugene Goodman was facing and the danger that was coming the way. And for all these Republicans who get all these MAGA people, all these assholes who keep talking about, oh, it was a calm day, that absolute white supremacist Tucker Carlson, all the people on Fox News who keep covering for these people. No. Let's remember exactly what it looked like in this video right here. Folks, watch this. These Teresa?
Yeah.
These are the people Donald Trump and Sister Patriots.
Y'all, I just watched the Luther Vandross documentary and my mind is blown. Here are 10 songs you might background vocals on, but you have to listen closely.
Hello?
Teresa, go ahead.
Okay, great. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, these folks are patriots. I'm not sure what the American people are, but they are certainly not patriots. I think rediscovering what that definition of patriotism and upholding American values is something, you know, that we really just need to define again and again. But what we saw there was another critical action where we have taxpaying citizens going against, you know, a law enforcement, the same law enforcement that was is sworn to protect and serve, and the same ones that the MAGA upholds to the fullest extent of the law, but yet is comfortable with putting, you know, an officer like Eugene in that position and there's no consequence. So there has to be some sort of consequence as it relates to what is happening, not only 4 years ago, but, what will be happening in the future as it relates to pardons.
I just want people to understand. I just want people to understand what is going on here. I want people to understand that the people who were in support of this, the people who were backing this, these people are still in power. They're going to be in charge of committees. They are going to be going after. They're going to be going after the January 6th committee members. Don't be shocked at all if they try to go after Congressman Benny Thompson, former Congresswoman Liz Cheney. That's what they are going to do. And so, just understand exactly what is actually going to happen.
Hi, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. Fanbase is a free to download, free to use, next generation social media platform that allows anyone to have followers and subscribers on the same page. Fanbase was built through investment dollars from equity crowdfunding from the Jobs Act. People just like you help build Fanbase. And we're looking for more people to help build Fanbase. We are currently raising $17 million in a Regulation A crowdfund on Start Engine. We've already crossed $2.1 million, but we're looking to raise more capital from people just like you that deserve the opportunity to invest in early stage startups without having to be accredited investors. So right now, I'd like you to go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest. The minimum to invest is $399. That gets you 60 shares of stock in Fanbase right now, today. And then use Fanbase to connect with friends, grow your audience, and be you without limits.